What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, and of course, that's none other than the one and only Scott Savage. Scott, what's going on, man?
Oh, well, you know, we had a show all ready to go, and then a whole lot of news happened very early today.
That's right, and where people can find our show is over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG, but if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, today's show, PlayStation reveals when we'll be playing in the world of PlayStation VR2 and how much, as well as a couple of games we'll be playing. A new Deus Ex title is in early development, and Horizon Forbidden West writer joins Playground Games to work on Fable. Let's just pause right there for a quick second, Scott.
Interesting comp.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to getting into that topic today because that is worrisome at this point. I'm pretty worried. We've seen the delays in how long we've been waiting for Skull and Bones. I think Fable is in the same realm right now. Very curious to see how that's going.
Anybody and everybody to work on it, so I'd consider throwing my resume in their direction. I have some ideas.
Ideas in voice acting.
That's right.
Scott, let's get into it. I got a press release, and I'm pulling from PlayStation blog right now. PlayStation VR2 is coming this February and will cost. They have it here. I have the Canadian price. This is the US price of $549, but the Canadian price, Scott, $749.99. That is not cheap, dude. It is just under what a PlayStation 5 costs. It's at this moment I looked up, it's like $1,000. I'm like, what is that? Doesn't sound right to me at all. And I'm gonna Google it right now. PS5. I'm gonna go to say Best Buy Canada. We are not sponsored, but hey, Best Buy, hit us up. Let's take a look.
I'm still in the market eventually for a PlayStation.
That's right. Scott needs your help. So here we go. PS5 Digital Edition, $519, Scott, Best Buy Canada. The disc version is $650. The PlayStation VR2 is $750 and $100 more, Scott,
than the console itself.
Than the bigger version console itself. The one with the disc, I'm gonna say. It's not much bigger than that. It's dude, I am blown away. I'm blown away. Scott, do me a favor and get that one in Twitch. Oh, it's on YouTube. Never mind. That's on me. I got this one. It's pretty staggering to think that that's where it's coming from. Like I didn't anticipate this kind of price. I was thinking a lot more to the realm of a PS5. Like, we want to really kind of temper what we're doing here and pull people into this ecosystem. We have a list of games. Part of me is a little skeptical on the list of games, and and I'm a little worried. So here's what happens. PSVR2, $749.99 Canadian. It includes PSVR2 headset, PSVR2 Sense controllers, and stereo headphones. Headphones are attached to the system. There's also, Scott, a bundle with Call of the Mountain for $819.99 Canadian. It includes a PlayStation Store voucher code for Horizon Call of the Mountain, the PSVR2 headset, PSVR2 sensor controllers, and stereo headphones. A voucher code. Do we get, Scott, Horizon Call of the Mountain at release date on February 23rd? I want to say 22nd. Sorry, 22nd.
Yeah, well, if they're selling this bundle, is that a day one bundle? It certainly appears to be.
It's a voucher code. I get it's all download, so I'm hoping it is a launch title. I think this is what we need to see coming from PlayStation, is have that staple that everybody knows right now with Horizon Zero Dawn, and then follow up with Horizon Forbidden West. Man, it's incredible, right? Like, that was a magical experience moving over into the sequel. Now we're getting a VR. Dude, the minute that tall neck comes towering over me, like, this is the experience I want. Like, I can't wait. However, we also have a list of what's next. Oh, they also have, Scott, a PSVR2 Sense controller charging station, which I can appreciate, which is $65 Canadian. Players can charge the PSVR2 Sense controllers through a simple click-in design without having to connect the PS5 to the PS5 console, freeing up the console's USB ports. I appreciate that because last time you had to plug it in, your Move controller, man, it was a nightmare. So
yeah, that was using some old tech to make it work.
It did work, yeah. So, okay, I want to get into the list of games, and then we're going to get back into Horizon and my other thoughts on where all this kind of lands. Tentacular. Ever felt like a squid out of water? The story of Tentacular plunges you into the ocean-dwelling hulk of a gigantic, kind-hearted, tentaculated beast trying to figure out its place in the world. Okay. This is where we get worried with the VR. I don't
think that's high up in your list.
That is not. No, it certainly is not high in my list, Scott. And that's one of those kind of. We'll see what happens. Crossfire Syria Squad. It just had as a description: next gen VR shooter coming to PSVR 2. No release date. No idea when. Who knows? We are getting Resident Evil Village VR, so there is that. Another game they announced was the Light Brigade is announced for PlayStation VR and PlayStation VR 2. The tactical roguelike shooter with realistic gunplay and immersive light magic ascends the ranks of the Light Brigade as you journey through the shattered memories to return light to the darkness. Interesting.
Well, that sounds like Destiny. That's just in the description there.
Oh man, Destiny in VR would be a cool thing. I take that. They own Bungie now.
That would be so dizzying though.
It could be. It's pretty fast paced, right?
My only memories of Destiny so far is boss fights, but other than that, 360 degrees, constantly holding the trigger.
Right.
It's like the most intense shooting gallery I've played, other than Metal Hellsinger.
Ooh, yeah, there's one for you, Scott. Cities VR Enhanced Edition coming over to PlayStation VR 2. We reviewed Cities VR over on the Oculus. Played that one already.
I wish I had played that one, but
it was fun. City Skylines. It's exactly what it is. City Skylines
in VR.
And we like city builders here, so it was a cool time. They're now bringing it over to PSVR 2. No idea as to when. Cosmonosis High announcement trailer for PSVR 2. Welcome to Cosmonosis High, new kid. Alchemy Labs presents an out-of-this-world VR experience with their hallmark interactivity and distinctive humor. They are a quirky studio. They do have a lighthearted sense of humor, and they've made some incredible games. So meet a colorful cast, adapt outrageous alien powers, and discover the source of the school's malfunctions to save Cosmosis High from chaos. So again, good studio behind that one. We'll see how it kind of fares off. After that, something I own on Oculus Quest 2 is Pistol Whip, and it's a fantastic game, but it's already been played. So there's a couple of those things that I'm a little worried about, right, Scott? I think that's the biggest thing. There's a couple of games that are already out there in the ecosystem, and I know that you got to bring something over, but where I want to see. We'll get to it. So Pistol Whip is coming. A cool one, though, I think coming up after that is Hello Neighbor VR Search and Rescue, revealed for PlayStation VR 2 as well as PlayStation VR. So the Hello Neighbor universe is coming to PSVR and PSVR 2. Step inside your creepy nightmare neighbor's house and experience it all in VR. So if you've played the puzzle horror game before, you're into it, but in VR. So something we've seen in the past. The dark.
I like the idea of that. Gives you a little bit more of a creepy feeling, like Disturbia. You remember the movie Disturbia?
I never watched it.
I was with Shia LaBeouf, and he's sneaking around his neighbor's house, and it gets really creepy. I like the idea of Hello Neighbor, kind of trying to capture that.
Yeah, so there is that. The Dark Pictures Switchback to VR announced trailer for PSVR 2. Hold on tight in the Dark Pictures Switchback VR. Experience the thrill of the most nightmarish VR roller coaster horror shooter, enhanced by the innovative features of the PlayStation VR 2, and all set inside this sinister world of the Dark Pictures. The studio did this before, and it's another game on rails for PlayStation VR 1.
I think I had played that one.
Yeah, I think so. So now we have a sequel.
a lot of clowns, a lot of spiders at certain levels. Yeah,
Oh.
it had the carnival ride kind of feel to it. Oh, it creeped me out.
Right? Yeah. And then we get into Zenith, the Last City. Dude, this one looks cool. I've been following it. It is on Oculus Quest 2 available as well, but here it is coming to PlayStation VR 2. Play in the definitive VR MMO experience, now remastered for the PlayStation VR 2. Forge friendships in guilds and parties, fight, craft, join epic raids, and blaze your own path. How will you use your power? So here's an MMO coming over to the world of PlayStation VR 2. I think this is really cool. I've been following this one for a while, even through the early development of it.
I like the idea of an MMO online, and I know you have no knowledge of it, but Sword Art Online is an anime, and it's all about that idea. The idea that you go on, play this VR game. In the anime, it cuts you off so you can't come out. That's the whole anime there. But
fair enough.
Other than that fear, that would be a really fun thing to play in VR. Just like Battle Royale. I discovered that was amazing in VR.
I got motion sickness and oh man, we played a couple of those. So I was like, whoa, it felt so good though, dude. I sniped somebody in VR. It was like the most satisfying thing. It was pretty cool.
Do you remember my clip, the loudest sneeze?
Yeah, dude's like, I hear you. It was funny.
If you're gonna blow yourself, make sure you do it in such a loud way they can't tell where you are.
And then lastly, that came out of today was After the Fall is coming to PlayStation VR 2 as well. So we've also reviewed that. We reviewed that. Corey reviewed it on Steam VR, and then Steve had it on Oculus, I believe. Yeah. So, okay, so here's the thing. After the Fall, already out. Zenith, The Last City, already out. Pistol Whip, already out. Cities, already out. And that's it. So there's 4 titles that they ported over, which is great because not everybody's played those. They don't have, a lot of people still don't have headsets for VR, right? So if this is their first time, or they had PlayStation VR and they're looking to get into PlayStation VR 2, they're able to get in on these games, which is great. I think that's a smart move. Bring over titles that are well received, people love, and then show us what's new. What's new, Scott, isn't really what's pulling me in. The only thing that's really pulling me in, which I think everybody can expect, is Horizon Call of the Mountain. That's the one that really sets the bar high for me. And everything else after that, I'm kind of skeptical as to, will I get into my PlayStation VR 2 and then put it down like my PlayStation VR 1 and watch it collect dust? Because I want the Call of the Mountain, those Horizon experiences. And so far, that's the only one I see that's really pulling me into this platform. After the Fall is a great game. It's not my style. Right? There's just certain games that just aren't going to line up for myself. Pistol Whip I already own, so I'm not going to buy it again on PlayStation VR 2. Cosmonious High, not really my thing. Cities VR, I already played it. The Light Brigade, I wouldn't mind giving it a shot. Crossfire Syria Squad actually looks kind of cool too, but it's kind of be picky and choosy, and I want to see what the rest of the lineup. At this point, I'm shocked that we didn't get a state of play experience.
Yeah.
Right? Instead, they just
surprising, actually.
blasted it out instead. So I'm like, it's been a while since we had a state of play. So I'm curious as to what happened there. Why didn't we get a more deep dive into some of these games and experiences and have a better understanding of what's going on? What's the future hold for PlayStation VR 2? And what will we be playing next year when it releases on February 22nd? How many titles are there? Like, there's still a lot of questions, but right now, I think the biggest thing is getting over that price hump of $750, or unless you want to call the mountain, $800, right? $820.
$750. That compares with very high end. Is it HTC ones that I'm thinking of? Perhaps there's very high end level. Whereas I bought my Oculus Rift for $500. This is 3 years ago now. But there's one downfall to the PlayStation VR 2. It's still tethered, right? Like, we're not wireless. We're still tethered to the platform. We're still tethered to our PS5s. Okay, great. You had to do that to make it be a better quality experience. I'm down for that. I can handle one cord. It's a better step up from PlayStation VR 1. That was just a mess. Like, it was a spaghetti of wires, and I was like, okay, what connects where? And then you got this other separate box, and then you got to bring in the excuse me, the webcam thing too, and it's just like try to connect. Oh man, it was a nightmare. So yeah, I got Nate to set it up in my living room one time, and I purposefully didn't have to spend time understanding it.
That was brutal. It really was.
It reminded me of early Oculus, where you're setting up towers.
Yes, yeah. Now it's just a matter of one chord, away we go. All right, cool. But it's just, I think the expensive price point maybe sets a bar of quality too behind it. How well is it made? How well does it feel? We've heard previews go out for Horizon Call of the Mountain, and everybody loved it. Like everybody that I read up on.
Well, that's good.
Exactly. So I'm looking to really dive into that experience, but after that, I'm curious to see what will keep me in the world of PlayStation VR2 as I play other things on my PlayStation 5, right? So we'll see what happens. But I'm
hoping we see more of the first party lineups. Like Horizon being the strongest one, in my opinion, the strongest leading title.
Yep.
But no, I always think about it. This would be a great way to bring back Killzone or Resistance or one of the lesser known shooters that hadn't been around for so long. This would have been a really exciting way to bring that back. But there's still time. We'll see.
It would have been great to have Blood and Truth 2, the sequel. But Blood and Studio just revealed last week that they're working on a co-op live service game instead, right? So they took that studio and allowed them to go out on their own and do something different, which is great. I think it allows the freedom for that studio then still be under the reins of PlayStation, but the ability to be creative in their own unique way and to do something different. We'll see how it pays off, but to have a Blood and Truth 2 as well as Horizon Call of the Mountain, I think would have been a great experience, because we just had Horizon Forbidden West this year as well as God of War. So we had two banger titles hit PlayStation 5 as well as everything else in between. So if you had two staple points for next year going in for the PlayStation VR2 launch, man, it would have been fantastic. But really right now, when you talk about first party, Scott, you're just talking about Guerrilla and their experience here with Horizon Call of the Mountain. But either way, okay, we do have a couple of things else we should probably get to, Scott. I've been trying to get there, but there's been man, oh man, exciting times. We'll see what happens here with PlayStation VR. Where are we here? Scott, you ready?
Yeah, we're talking like 150% my rent now to get both the VR and the PlayStation 5. What a time to be alive.
That's right. A new Deus Ex is reportedly in early development at IDOS Montreal. The studio is also said to be working on a new IP and co-developing Xbox games, including Fable. Scott, what is... Interesting.
Everybody's getting a turn at Fable.
Everybody needs to be have their hands. This goes from Tom Ivan over at BGC. A new Deus Ex game is reportedly in early development at IDOS Montreal. That's according to Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier, who claims on Tuesday that the studio is also working on a new IP and collaborating with Microsoft and Xbox games, including Fable. Embracer Group recently acquired a large part of Square Enix Western development team for $300 million, including Crystal Dynamics, IDOS Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, and a catalog of IPs, including Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Thief. Oh, please.
Oh, please.
Absolutely. On Tuesday, Bloomberg reported that the Embracer plans to close the studio formerly known as Square Enix Montreal just weeks after it was rebranded as Onoma. In a series of follow-up tweets, Schreier claimed that the studio staff would be moving into IDOS Montreal and provided an unofficial update to the studio's current projects. Quote, IDOS Montreal, which remains intact, canceled the Stranger Things inspired Kids on Bikes game that was rumored recently, he said. It's now reportedly working on a new IP, which is recently rescoped, a Deus Ex game that's very, very early in development, and co-dev partnerships with Xbox, including Fable. Scott, we're all over the place here, man.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, but I'm wondering, what does rescoped on a Deus Ex project mean? Does that mean they're adjusting for the current tech that's out? How big can we make a game?
No, I think what he means is that they rescoped their new IP as well as working on a Deus Ex game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we're getting into more than what we currently have. So I'm like, we get a Deus Ex game. IDOS Montreal is working on a new game. A brand new IP, which is pretty exciting to me. It's nice to see them get out of Square Enix and get in with Embracer and hopefully they can let them do what they want to create, as well as bring back some of the beloved IPs. There's a reason why they own Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Thief. We should expect to see these games return. I think in the grand scheme of things, like the last one we saw was Deus Ex, was like, how long ago was that, Scott? 2000. Oh man, I want to say it was like,
I have a hard time because there's Human
ago?
Revolution.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one now?
Mankind Divided was 2016. 2016 was the last Deus Ex game we had.
I don't think I've played Mankind Divided.
Really?
I've only played one of them now, but I can't recall which one it even was.
Human Revolution, I'm sure. It was the first one. Yeah. So now we're getting that. And then they're working with Xbox, including Fable, which is including Fable. Like, that's just a weird terminology to phrase that, I guess I would say. But it's very interesting to see how that goes, and why would we be even getting into something like this with Eidos Montreal. But it's pretty exciting. I want to follow up into the next story as well, Scott, as jobs round up. Rovio alum Sophie Vo joins Savage Studios as general manager. Horizon Forbidden West senior writer Andrew Walsh joins Playground Games to work on Fable. This comes from games industry. Games industry investor and developer Sophie Vo has joined Savage Game Studios as general manager. Throughout Vo's work history, she's had various roles across game companies. She served as a game lead at Angry Bird maker Rovio, while working on Voodoo Vo launched Plantopia. Yeah, Merge Garden is, man, I never even heard that one, in the role of studio and game lead. Over the several years, she then provided the game's investors and advisory positions. Vo formally announced her hiring on LinkedIn and said, "I took the summer off to reflect on what I wanted to do next, how I wanted to spend my time, and for which impact. That the most important for me was to join a leadership team I was aligned with in terms of values and missions. I feel passionate to create the future of a modern workplace where people feel fulfilled, whole, and inspired to be there by their work and colleagues." Long-term games writer Andrew Walsh announced that he will be joining Playground Games to work on the Fable reboot. What? Scott, this is where I really get into a whole lot of confusion, because he's credited with Horizon Forbidden West, Watch Dogs Legion, and Fable Friends. Aside from the narrative work in video games, Walsh has also written for TV, animation, and theater. If we are just pulling in a writer to work on Fable now, Scott, is it to work on the main campaign, or is it to work on filling out side quests? I kind of just got thinking maybe it's more on the... Because this has been in development for years, and then you have to think that the story's already finished. It has to be, right?
It must be lore side kind of things, because it's similar to how Martin was part of Elden Ring. I think he kind of came along late on development and made everything kind of make sense together, or attempted to make it all make sense.
Yep.
I think it's probably similar now, because that can't be the original story.
I wouldn't think so.
When was that? 2018 that we were shown?
Yep.
Yeah, they must have a story written down on the board somewhere already.
I hope so. I sure do. But Scott, we do have a couple games out today, my friend. What do we have?
We have Hat Up on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Godlike Burger, which sounds great to me. Sounds like lunch. That's on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, XS, and Switch. The Past Within is on iOS and Android. And Tanuki Sunset is on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, XS, and Switch.
Are you going to play Godlike Burger?
I'm so curious. I think I have to.
Challenge accepted, he says. Scott, just like that, that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern over on Twitch as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see you inside the game.